Hello everyone, this is Maki. The climax of the GQuuuuuX story. Char's Noble refuses Lolo Sun's protection. Let's review his conversation with Shalia Bull. Char says the following about Sharon's roles. In this world, it seems I am being protected by her will. In a world distorted like this, the new type era will never come. That is why I will remove her from this world, even though she can be interpreted as an all-powerful existence. Only then will humanity be guided toward a better era. This time, I would like to focus on Char's Noble's growth based on these words. What kind of result do you think we would see if the Char's Noble of the original Universal Century were to fight the Char's Noble of the world of GQuuuuuX? You might discover a hint that answers that question. By the way, the Principality of Xi'an is currently seeking support through a 99-cent monthly membership. Funds collected will be used to construct Io Magnuso, a large machine for environmental restoration. The gentle light of the sun will shine upon the earth where you live. Now, let's begin the analysis. Before we begin analyzing the story of GQuuuuuX, let's take a brief look at Char from the original Universal Century. In Char's Counterattack, the pain of losing Lolo Sun eats away at Char's heart. He shouts at Amuro, "Remember the pain you felt when Lolo died." Then at the climax, he cries out Lolo Sun was a woman who might have become my mother. Char shows an extraordinary level of obsession toward Lolo. But what about his rival, Amuro? Amuro rejects Lolo when she appears in his dream. This Amuro is completely different from the one who tearfully said I can always meet Lolo during the climax of the original 0079. In Char's Counterattack, Char's Noble is defeated by Amuro. However, this does not simply mean defeat in a battle between mobile suits. Char also loses to Amuro on a psychological level. A hint of this can be found in the words of Yoshiyuki Tomino, the story's creator. In an interview included in the original 0079 Blu-ray box set, Mr. Tomino revealed that he had originally planned to give the story a subtitle. The subtitle was Eternal Amuro. Some of you may recognize those words. The title of the ending theme song for the original 0079 is Forever Amuro. Mr. Tomino wrote the title and lyrics of this song. He uses the name Rin-Eo when working on music-related projects. Aiji and Tomino are the same person. What was the intention behind creating this title? Let's take a look at his comments. I saw Amuro as a representative of humanity evolving into new types. I believe that the new type potential that sprouted within Amuro should be passed down through humanity and eventually bloom. With that meaning in mind, I came up with this subtitle. Now, let's examine the lyrics of the ending theme song. They describe the process of evolution toward new types, as Mr. Tomino called it. The star shining beyond the universe is the homeland where you were born. Do you remember the days when you were a boy? The morning you awoke to gentle warmth. Amuro, do not look back. A man must not show his tears. Look forward to tomorrow forever. These lyrics convey the themes of cherishing one's homeland and moving forward rather than dwelling on the past. In the Blu-ray box interview, Tomino said the following. This story depicts how a boy named Amuro confronts reality and becomes independent. As Amuro's story, it stands in a position similar to a prologue. In every sense, I see it as a story about a man separating from his mother. Earth is the environment where humanity was born and raised. The phrase Mother Earth is often used to describe this concept. Earth is like a mother, a symbol of kindness that warmly embraces us. However, when a person becomes an adult, they must leave their mother. Mothers as living beings are also bound by the limitations of our lifespan. This is why it is necessary to acquire the strength to live independently. This idea aligns with the common claim in the universal century world that humanity must leave Earth and live elsewhere. This idea is consistent with the scene in the climax of the original 0079, when Ammo bids farewell to Lolo and launches himself into space by his own will. Now, let's focus on Ammo and Char in Char's Counterattack. Ammo rejects Lolo. Conversely, Char clings strongly to Lolo. Please analyze them, focusing on the growth Tomino envisioned. Ammo is the one who was able to grow. Conversely, Char is portrayed as someone who was unable to grow. This explains why Char was defeated by Ammo, as I mentioned earlier. Now then, this has gotten quite long, but let's once again turn our attention to sharing the world of GQuuuuuX. If you keep everything we've discussed so far in mind as you observe things, you may already have found the answer. Char is protected by a godlike entity known as the Rose Girl. He recognizes that this is not a good thing. That is why he tries to remove Sharon's rose from the world. In Char's Counterattack, Char was obsessed with the idea of a mother. In contrast, the Char of GQuuuuuX tries to reject the mother figure. Although they exist in different worlds, Char has grown greatly in GQuuuuuX. Do you remember the direction of the TV anime? The one with the music that plays when the white Gundam appears as an enemy. At that moment, beyond the time, the theme song of Char's Counterattack plays. Originally, this song played after Char was defeated by Ammo. However, in the story of GQuuuuuX, it is played when the final enemy appears before Char as he tries to reject the mother figure. Of course, Machu and Miran were the ones who actually fought the white Gundam. Nevertheless, isn't it extremely symbolic that the music from the final scene of Char's Counterattack plays during the scene with the Char trying to grow beyond the one from Char's Counterattack? The ending of the story is exactly as you all witnessed. Sharon's rose disappears from the world of GQuuuuuX. Together with the white Gundam, it returns to its original world. Char succeeds in separating himself from his mother. How should we interpret Lolo and Char in the final scene? Despite succeeding in separating from the mother figure, Char meets Lolo. This scene has no dialogue and is open to each viewer's interpretation. Personally, I interpreted this scene as Char meeting Lolo as an equal, romantic partner. Not as someone he depends on or is protected by, but as someone who stands beside him, cooperates with him, and supports him. Of course, this is just my personal interpretation. I would love to hear your interpretation as well, if you would like to share it. Now then, taking everything we have discussed into account, if the Char's Neville from the story of Char's Counterattack and the Char's Neville from the story of GQuuuuuX were to face each other, which one do you think would win? That would be a fascinating topic of discussion. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope to see you again in the next episode.